baby number 2. Hopefully we get admitted. We came in because I haven't been feeling this girl move all day. But I've been having contractions and they're becoming regular. I am 4.5 centimeters dilated and it is 8:44. That is not 8:44. It is 8:38. And then at 9 or maybe 9:30, having a contraction. They're gonna check and see if I have made any progress, and if I have, then we'll get admitted. So we'll see. This guy is writing on the board.
Hi y'all, I'm back and here with another birth story. Since the last time I shared my birth experience, since then I've had 4 more babies. And so here I am with another birth story about my second child that I had in the hospital, completely unmedicated, and it was a spontaneous birth, which if you remember from my first birth, I was induced due to high blood pressure. So here I am with another story of what it was like being able to have a spontaneous birth. On the day of my second child's birth, or the day that I went into labor with Harper, I remember having contractions the day before at work. I didn't think much of it. I didn't know what to expect since I never got to have an experience without being induced. But I went home, I slept it off. The next morning I woke up and continued to have contractions. They weren't close together and they weren't very strong, but you can tell that they were constant, that they did have a pattern. So I continued on with my day. We were going to be heading out later on that evening for a luau, graduation luau for my cousin. So I knew that I wanted to get a lot of things done. My due date with my second child was June 2nd. And so up until this point, I have made it all the way to the end of my pregnancy. And yes, that is something that's tiring. That is something that definitely takes a toll on your body and your mind, because you really want the baby. At this point of pregnancy, you're done. You're just ready to have that baby. And so that morning we got up, I went out and did some grocery shopping, came home, cooked lunch, and then later on we ended up, went on with our day. Later on took a nap, woke up in time to get ready for this luau. And I remember waking up, remember we stay out here in Texas, so we have pretty hot summers. And so I just remember waking up not feeling so well. I wasn't sure if it's because I was close by to the window or what, but I ended up texting my sisters and saying that, hey, I don't think I've felt the baby move. So I wasn't sure if we wanted to go ahead and head over to labor and delivery or to the emergency room, or go ahead and get ready for the luau. So while I'm conflicted with what we wanted to do, I went ahead and drank something cold to see if that will help get the baby to wake up if the baby was sleeping, or to move. But I don't remember her moving at all. So we ended up getting ready for the luau. We went ahead and just got ready with our day. We went ahead and started getting ready for the luau. At this point, we only had Samson, so we're trying to figure out, okay, if we need to go to the hospital, who's gonna watch him? So I asked my sisters. They mentioned that they will go ahead and watch him if needed at the luau, so that we can go ahead and head to the hospital. Finally, my husband tells me, hey, we really should go and get it checked out just in case, and then we can always go to the luau right afterwards if everything's okay. So I agree, send a text message over to my sisters and tell them, hey, just so you know, we are gonna go ahead and go to the hospital to get checked. Please pick up Samson. So we wait around for Samson to get picked up. head over to the hospital. By this time, it's probably around 6:30 p.m. or so, and we start. They start monitoring the baby. They start monitoring Harper, checking for her heartbeat, and thankfully, checking for her heartbeat and. During the process of them checking the baby and making sure that everything is fine, I'm noticing that I'm having contractions, and these contractions are pretty consistent. So they go ahead and do a cervical check and found that I was dilated. They also mentioned, they noticed that I am dilated and I may be in early labor. So we continued to stay there for another hour or two. After that, while I'm being monitored, I'm talking with the nurses. I'm talking with the nurses. We're asking about each other's lives, and so I let them know that, hey, So in conversation with one of the nurses, I'm sharing that we were getting ready to go for a graduation luau that we were excited about, and our son was with and that I was missing my son and feeling pretty hungry at this point. So she mentioned that she would check with the OB to see if we would be able to be discharged or if they could go ahead and let us go. If they would be able to go ahead and let us go so we can get something to eat. So we go ahead. So then the nurse comes, so she leaves the room and she comes back and lets us know that the on-call doctor will be letting us go so we can go ahead and get something to eat and get our son situated just in case this was the day. As soon as we left, I remember telling my husband, watch us leave, and next thing you know, it's time to have the baby. Well, that's literally what happened. As soon as we left the hospital, my contractions started getting stronger. I was feeling really excited to go see my son, hug him, and get something to eat. We get to the house where the luau is at, and I'm walking up this steep hill, and each step I could feel the contractions getting so much more stronger. But I'm still so excited, and so I'm walking through the crowds of people and saying hi, and contractions getting so much more stronger. But I'm still so excited, and so I'm walking through the crowds of people and saying hi, and giving them hugs, and then I see my son, and from then on it was just, and then I see my son, I grab him, pick him up, made myself and my husband a plate of food, so that we could eat it on our way to drop off Samson to my sister-in-law's. At this moment, while I'm saying hellos and goodbyes, I remember talking to one, I think it was probably my uncle, and telling him, yep, we're in labor, we're gonna be having a baby today. Because at this point, the contractions were getting stronger. So we rushed back out, dropped off my son to my sister-in-law's, told her the same thing, my contractions are getting stronger, the baby should be here soon. At this point, I think we get back to the hospital around 10:30 or 11 p.m. And from then on, everything was fast forward. And we ended up having Harper at 12:01 or 12:03 a.m. So it was a pretty fast process. Her labor was my fastest labor. It is one of my favorites, but I think I say that about every single birth that I've had so far. But I can't wait to share a little bit more about her birth experience, especially after coming back from dropping off my son to my sister-in-law's house, and just the whole recovery process with Harper. So just stay tuned for part 2 of her story, where I go into details of the process of coming back to the hospital and managing those labor pains. Thank you so much for watching.
You had a big poop in there, didn't you?